Well, good evening, Tallahassee, and welcome to Tuesday night's edition of FSU Weather. Right now, we'll start off with a live look at Doak. We've got barely any clouds in the sky there, just a few, 91 degrees. We're another warm, hot day into this long, dry stretch. We're getting out of it. Chances coming up soon for a little bit of relief. But for tonight, we've got our current temperatures, 90s for the most part, with the exception of Apalachicola down there, but 90s has been the story for a while. Tonight we're going to cool down. You're going to have that trade-off of some cool relief with that dry air. 69 degrees is your low there, and it's going to be mostly clear, and wind's going to be calm. But for tonight, we're going to be tracking the tropics. There's a lot going on, as well as some rain chances that we've got going into the week. So we're finally going to get to see a little bit of rain action here in the Panhandle, as well as Trivia Tuesday and Sky of the Week. All this and more on FSU Weather.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome back to your Tuesday edition of FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Chris Malve.
And I'm student meteorologist Ainsley Goebel.
And my goodness, have the tropics starting to become a lot more active these past couple days. We've got some severe weather going on. It seems like, these past couple days, leading up till today, there wasn't too much going on, but now we have a whole lot of weather action to talk about today. So personally, I'm super excited for tonight's show. How about you, Ainsley?
Yeah, I feel like we definitely got to lead up into going to school. We thought it was going to be crazy, back to school, worrying with classes and new weather, but it was pretty quiet for the first month. And now we're finally starting to see a little action as we ease into school here. So it's been a nice gradual flow, but it jumped pretty quickly, and now we are seeing a lot going on with the tropics, even on the continental U.S. How are you faring with all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. Things started pretty slow at first, but now things have really started to kick into high gear, and we're kind of going to be taking a closer look at that in just a moment as we head over to the tropics. And as we head over to our tropical outlook, we have two areas of two disturbances in the tropics. We're going to be taking a closer look at these next couple of days. They do have some pretty mild chances of development. This one, especially right here over the next week, about 90% chance of development. So this could become another system in the coming future, but nothing to worry about right now. Just something we have to keep a close eye on here. We have another tropical wave here in the Caribbean that has, again, about a 60% chance of development over the week. Just something to keep an eye on. But here's a look at Gabrielle. Thankfully, no impacts to us here in sunny Florida. And this system is really going to continue to move out to sea. It is still a major hurricane with winds at about 130 miles an hour. So still a very strong hurricane out in the Atlantic right now. But thankfully, no threats to us here in Florida. And take a look at this. Beautiful sunny skies over Doak Campbell Stadium right now. And our map kind of looks like a lava pool right now just because we have still those quite warm temperatures, really 80s and 90s all across the board. And for temperature almanac, we hit 95 today, so a little bit above our average. And for tonight, going to be sitting at around 70. And on our radar, not a whole lot of action going on right now, just some backscatter on our radar, but no rain to worry about at the moment. But we do have some clouds that are going to be moving in to the area. We'll have to keep an eye out for a spotty shower or two as we kind of head into the rest of the week. And again, we'll see some of those more scattered showers possibly into Thursday, but really our rain chances are going to bump up a little bit as we move into Friday. You can see around 6 a.m. over towards Pensacola, some of those showers and storms associated with a cold front are going to be moving into our area. And you can see if those rain chances Friday and Saturday, we're going to have a little bit of a higher chance for some rain in our forecast. But although we're not seeing a whole lot of rain right now, makes it a pretty good day to go to the pool. So you can definitely enjoy some pretty pleasant weather really just for tomorrow. And then for tonight's forecast, seeing those relatively mild conditions go around the Big Bend. 71 here in Tallahassee, 70 in Bainbridge, a little bit warmer down in Carabel, 73, but should be pretty nice. But again, still seeing that kind of trend of warm weather really all across the board. 92 in Thomasville tomorrow afternoon, 85 in St. Mark. So it's still going to be another warm, sunny day in Florida, but that's going to change in the next couple days. So that's something we're definitely going to keep an eye on. And really for your next for the 7-day forecast, rain chances increasing going into the weekend, but thankfully we should be drying out by Sunday and into the start of next week, where our temperatures are really going to be sitting in those upper 80s. But now we're going to take things over to Ainsley to give us a look and really a better idea of what's going on in the rest of Florida.
All right, yeah, thank you, Chris. So we've got a tale of two stories here. We've got southern Florida Peninsula, where it's a little bit cooler, and then the Panhandle, where we are warm yet again here. It's been warm and dry. As we take a look at this, it looked a lot like yesterday, actually. I was actually up here for Florida's live radar here for South Florida. Looks about the same. Typical Florida convergence that you get, those pop-ups. A little bit for north centralized there. We're getting a couple more. It's a little more active than it was yesterday. So it's really just you give some, you take some. But again, we are dry here in the Panhandle. Nothing to worry about on the radar. Really just a boring stretch we've had here. In terms of your future, it doesn't look like we're going to get much until Friday. That's when we might start to see a front start to pass through here. Hasn't always been making its way through Florida, but we are expecting to get a little bit of rain action here up in Tallahassee. In terms of the temperatures, though, 70s for the most part, with the exception of Key West and Miami, 80 down there as well, but staying pretty cool at nighttime. That's because of those drier conditions that we've seen. That's going to change a little bit. It's going to be just a little bit more humid coming up here. But for tomorrow, we're going to shoot right back up into the 90s across the state of Florida. It looks like Pensacola at 88. It's the only place up in the Panhandle where you're going to get a little bit of relief, but some pop-up showers depending on where you are at there as well. And I think now we are going to take it on over to the southeast with Chris. Tell us what's going on there.
That's right. Thank you so much, Ainsley. Now, looking around the southeast right now, clouds seems to be the story for most of the area. Just a few clouds over in Tampa, 86 there. Over in Louisiana, you can see a little bit more cloud cover, 86, and over at Vanderbilt, 81 there, looking at the stadium. So pretty mild conditions right now. But for other parts of the southeast, that's not the exact same story. But kind of like Florida and even here in Tallahassee, very warm conditions to go around, 90s across the board, 94 in Jackson there, a little bit cooler as you go up towards Nashville, 81 degrees there. But here is our big story for tonight, and that is we have some severe weather action going on to the west over here in eastern Oklahoma and here in Arkansas. So let's kind of zoom in a little bit closer and tell you what's going on. So we have some showers and thunderstorms. Some of them could be severe, so they are on the stronger side. Those storms are racing off to the east over towards I-55, but here we do have a tornado watch that's going to be in effect for the next several hours. So just know that conditions are present for tornadoes to develop. We don't have any warnings active at the moment right now, but just something to know. We also have a flash flood warning that is currently in effect. So make sure to really just avoid being on the roads right now. And here is another look at that flash flood warning. So we do have several severe weather alerts going around, but as this cold front continues to move to the east, it will bring a lot of those showers and thunderstorms to much of the southeast. Wednesday night, you can see that we have some more, it's a little bit more of a scattered pattern, but those are going to continue to move over to the east, and in some ways, it almost seems a little bit more organized. You can clearly see this squall line that we have right here going into your Thursday afternoon. Those storms are going to start to move into Florida, so you definitely want to make sure you have that umbrella ready, especially for that Friday morning. As you can see, a lot more of those showers and storms that are going to continue to move our way. But if you're going to be in other parts of the southeast, maybe you're going to be in Charlotte, notice that we have some pretty decent chances for some rain, pretty mild conditions. But again, over in Memphis, rain is kind of the big story for today and Wednesday into Thursday. Really kind of borderline 80 degrees, and then those storms should be clearing out by the weekend. Over in New Orleans, very similar story where we do have some showers and storms that are going to be moving through, and that's going to be associated with that cold front pushing through the area, and things should begin to warm up a little bit by Saturday, where we will hit 87 degrees. For tonight's forecast, you can expect a whole lot of 70 degrees across the board, but we do have those pretty stormy conditions over in Little Rock and even into Nashville. So as those storms continue to push through, make sure that you're just being weather aware, especially with all of those severe weather alerts. And going into tomorrow, much of the same really for most of the southeast, where you have 92 in Tallahassee, 91 over in Atlanta. So it's going to be pretty warm, but as you move further to the west, you can see a lot more of those showers and storms that are going to be in our forecast. But now we're going to zoom out even further with Ainsley, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about what's going on for the rest of the country.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. So we've got a pretty colorful mix here. We've got severe thunderstorm watch, we've got some severe thunderstorm warnings, we've got flood watches, we've got flood warnings, we've even got a little bit of a wintry mix up there in Colorado. So first we're going to show you this as a whole. We've got a lot of precipitation here in southeast Missouri, and that's kind of been training behind it. As we zoom in here, we're going to see that the severe thunderstorm watch here and then a tornado watch here as well. So we've been seeing a lot of that bridge together with some storms that are down here and then up here that's kind of starting to form a line. You can see that at the end of that animation there. So just always have your plan in place as you get indoors. I'm going to move it out of the way so you can see the counties that are going to be affected here, but just make sure to, if you were told to take shelter by your local TV stations, go and do that. In terms of the Rockies, though, you can barely see it, but there's just a little bit of wintry mix up here, no doubt in the higher elevations up there in the mountains, but still a lot of precipitation coming off the Rockies for you there right now. Today, this is what our tomorrow, this is what our SPC outlook looks like. Today, it's a little more centralized here. That's the core of it, but tomorrow it's going to shift a little bit eastward, become a little less severe. The storms are going to rain themselves out after heading into all of that instability. Is going to kind of knock that out and shift eastward. And then we're going to see that happen again on day 3. It's just going to move closer to the Atlantic there, and then it should mostly be out of our hair for the time being. If you want to see what that looks like in terms of the rainfall rates, we could see a lot of rain gather up here in Missouri, Illinois, and then it just kind of stretches varying across the East Coast. Not too much for us here in Tallahassee, but just a slight bit that we might see with our chances on Friday. And boy, do we need it, because we've got that moderate drought that's crept into Tallahassee, but then as well as out west, it doesn't look like they're going to get much relief. They need it as well. We should share the love if we could, but for the time being, we're going to look at the current temperatures, 90s down here in the southeast, but we're starting to see a little bit more of that fall-like gradient. You can see it gets a little cooler as you get some further north and west. 70 in Billings. It's actually been quite chilly every time that I mention Billings. They always tend to be the lowest, but here they are up in the 70s, so that's a nice day for them there. In terms of the future radar, though, this is what it's going to kind of look like. You'll see that rain gets concentrated there. That's what we saw in the SPC outlook and the rainfall rates, and that's going to just continue on eastward. It'll start to form that front line, that boundary that you'll see moving across the southeast, and then by the time we hit Thursday, we might just see a little bit of what's coming to our area here down in Tallahassee. Hopefully we get just a little bit. There's been, again, 0 inches recorded at Tallahassee's airport in the month of September. In terms of tomorrow's temperatures, we are going to skyrocket right back up into the 90s. Denver, 68. That is about the lowest you're going to see on this map, and Billings is even going to go back up to 83. They probably got some warm, dry fronts that have come through the area, and they're finally getting a little bit of a taste of warmer weather. They've been pretty chilly as of late. In terms of tonight's temperatures, we're going to dip down in some places, more so in the places that are dry and they have lower dew points right now. But in terms of the southeast, we are staying relatively warm compared to our daytime highs. 77 in New Orleans, 69 here in Tallahassee. It looks like we've got some of the cooler ends of that there. In terms of the temperature outlook throughout the rest of the southeast, it is warm all over, and that's kind of been the story for a lot of Florida. We've seen that spread through the southeast, and now we're seeing it spread across the entire country. We're very high and dry and warm. That's been the story. That's all we can seem to talk about here. But for now, I'm going to head on over to the desk with Chris, where we are going to talk Trivia Tuesday, I believe.
That's right. As you know, Tuesday, it is our special Trivia Tuesday segment. And I heard this week, I think we're going to be talking about tropics, which I think it's pretty appropriate since we have those 2 disturbances and, of course, Gabrielle still out there in the Atlantic. But our first question is going to be, how high do maximum sustained winds need to be to form a tropical storm?
Do you know the answer to this?
I think I know a more relative answer, but I think it's going to be, I feel like it might be like an odd number, but
I think it's 35. but I can't remember if
I
it's
feel like that's
knots.
a little bit under. I was thinking more like 45, but
45?
something tells me it might be off. I think 45 is a little bit closer because, I think if you had 30, it'd still be like a tropical depression. Let's see. There's only one way to find out. Ooh,
39.
Actually,
Okay,
so you were a little bit closer than I was, but yeah, so maximum sustained winds need to be 39 miles per hour for a tropical storm to form.
And then rapid intensification, what do you think?
Okay, so I think that rapid intensification is when, I believe it's in about a 24-hour period where a hurricane or some sort of tropical system gains like a very large amount of increase in its wind speed, and it will likely jump several different categories. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I can't remember what the number is for rapid intensification, but I do remember extreme rapid intensification was like 80 miles an hour over the course of 24 hours, so I think it's just a little below that.
Yeah.
Let's see. 30 knots, 35 miles an hour.
Okay, so we got the 24, so we were pretty close, but yeah, it is within a 24-hour window, so it needs to be an increase of about 30 knots, or to be more technical, 34.52 miles per hour.
Yeah, and I think that's what we saw with Hurricane Aaron. It rapidly intensified, and even
With Gabrielle.
Gabrielle, yeah.
Yep. All right, and the next question is going to be, when is a tropical cyclone classified as making landfall? Okay, I think I know this one. So I think it's once the eye wall actually makes it onto land. What do you think?
I think I would agree with that, yeah.
Let's see. We'll find out. When the eye of the tropical cyclone intersects the coastline. There we go.
Yeah,
Nailed
perfect.
It. Awesome.
Yeah, I would have said when it makes landfall. But reading the question, I realized that was just not the way to go. But we're going to go to the next question. What is considered the most catastrophic impact from tropical cyclones?
All right. I think I might have brought this up for Fierce Forces Friday. I think you can make the case for, damaging winds, of course, but I think that storm surge probably is, I would say, from a cost standpoint, isn't one of the most destructive forces from a tropical system or a hurricane. So
yeah, I think I'd go with storm surge flooding just because it can extend so far inland.
Absolutely.
The storm kind of gets ripped apart wind-wise the further inland it goes, but the flooding can, with rainfall rates. Let's see.
Yeah, we got
All
it.
right, there
Let's
we go.
go. Yep, so storm surge is in fact the most catastrophic impact from tropical cyclones. So that's why if there is a storm surge warning issued, if you live in an area that is especially prone to flooding, it's something you want to think about, especially when those warnings are issued. So think about maybe the place you should be going to, or really just any sort of plan when that happens. But now we're going to transition to our Sky of the Week. This is sent from Paul Belisario from Park Ridge, Illinois. And just look at that gorgeous sky.
Yeah, that is one thing I miss about Midwest sunsets. They are just better. I'm sorry, but they are. They are just so good. I don't know what it is about them.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think, personally, being from Southwest Florida, I think Tampa sunsets are pretty hard to beat, especially if you're close to the water. Like, I don't know. I feel like Florida's still unmatched.
It's the wide open,
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, I mean, still an absolutely gorgeous sunset. So thank you, Paul, for sending in that photo.
Yeah, and let's see, we're going to take it on over to the next one. This is actually from my brother, Reed Goebel. He took the time out of his day to go pick up some hailstones that we had over our house. This was just over a 1/4 inch sized there, and I haven't seen that in quite a while in Nebraska, at least in my hometown of Fremont. But if you want to have any of your photos featured on here, make sure to send them in. You can send it to us via FSU Weather on social media. If you stalk us and you know our social medias, by all means, we'll get it to the screen for you. And the best photos will be chosen on Tuesday nights if you guys are interested.
Yeah. And again, I don't think I've even seen a hailstone that large, at least in my own lifetime. I've seen pea-sized hail, but wow, I mean, could you imagine, like, if you really think about it, just a hailstone like that big falling from the sky at a very fast rate, that is definitely something pretty crazy.
Sure. I only remember one other time I was driving, and it was probably like dime-sized hail, but even then, like, I just have not seen over a 1/4 in my hometown, at least, in quite some time, maybe ever, honestly. I'm sure it's been there, I just haven't been paying attention. Little Ainsley didn't care, but if you are watching, make sure to follow us on X at FSU Weather.
And make sure to like us on Facebook at FSU Weather.
And then don't forget to follow us on Instagram at FSU Weather.
And make sure to subscribe on YouTube at FSU Weather, where you're watching us right now.
And last but not least, follow us on TikTok at FSU Weather. And here's one last look at the 7-day forecast.